Welcome to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. I'm Jill, and today we're making falafel with a super easy tahini dipping sauce.
It's the all-free whole food plant-based cooking show.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Scindian Natural Food Products. Scindian is a family-owned and operated Australian company celebrating 20 years in business, making a wide range of affordable plant-based gluten-free products like burgers, sliders, sausages, and more. No preservatives, stabilizers, emulsifiers, or additives. Just clean, minimally processed, whole food ingredients that never compromise on flavor. In the US, you can find Scindian products in many independent health food and specialty grocery stores, and in the freezer aisle at select Meijer stores, or by ordering online at meijer.com. In Australia, you'll find them online at scindian.com.au and at your local supermarket. Scindian, guided by nature. Okay, so falafels. I absolutely love falafels, but this was actually a request from a friend of ours, Gerardo, and his family, and they've been waiting for this recipe for quite some time now. I'm sorry, I'm just getting to it now. It's taken me a really long time to just get this recipe down so it's just loaded with flavor and just right. So we're gonna get started. I have here, this was 2 cups of dry chickpeas that I soaked in water for 24 hours. You can do it just overnight, but I feel like it's easier for me when I'm cooking dinner the night before. I just get my chickpeas in there and start them soaking, and then they're ready for the next night's meal. So 24 hours is perfect. So you're gonna need a food processor for this. So I'm just gonna put these in the food processor first. And I haven't tried this with already cooked chickpeas. I think if you're really wanting to make more authentic type of falafels, you really need to use just the soaked chickpeas. Okay, and I have 1 small onion diced here. It's just a white onion. And then I don't have any garlic right now, so I'm just gonna use, I have some dried garlic here. That will work just fine because it's gonna get mixed in really well. But it's about 3 cloves worth of garlic. Got my cheat sheet up here, so I have to keep looking at this. 2 tablespoons of chickpea flour. And you're just gonna put everything into your food processor, and then we're gonna grind it up. This is a 1/2 cup of chopped parsley, 2 tablespoons of flax meal, and flax meal is really what's going to help it just like glue itself together, right? 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, and that's going to give it a really nice, just kind of punchy tang. Really fresh flavor. 2½ teaspoons of cumin. Oops, I almost put 3 in there, so 2½. We have a 1/2 teaspoon of cracked pepper. So, you know, I just guesstimate. And, you know, it's kind of up to you if you like a lot of pepper or just a little bit. I like a lot of pepper. I like to get those little teeny chunks of the cracked pepper. Gives it kind of a spiciness. And how much? 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And this is aluminum-free baking powder. 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons, let's do my onion powder first. 2 teaspoons of onion powder, and I realize that's a lot of onion, but this onion powder really just helps it give it so much more flavor. I just love onion powder in almost everything I make. Okay, then 2 teaspoons of Bragg's liquid aminos, but you could use tamari or like a low sodium soy sauce. It'll work just the same. You just want a little of that salty flavor. Okay, let's make sure I got everything in here. And 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar. And you can use apple cider vinegar it'll work the same. I just happen to like the flavor of the white wine vinegar just a bit more. Okay, it's all in there. Now, when you are turning this on, you want to just use the pulse. You don't really want to use it on the full, unless you really want to get it just completely pulverized. But you kind of do want to have it a little chunks still left in there. So if you just keep pulsing it, it will just chop it up into the teeniest little pieces. I'm going to scrape it down, make sure all that parsley gets really mixed well in there. And this is a pretty big batch. I feed a family of 4, so this is plenty enough for one meal, but I mean plenty enough for extra after one meal, because I like to stick them in the fridge and have them the next day as leftovers, or you could put them in a bag and freeze them. They freeze wonderfully. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share with you some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is crowd-funded, which means these free weekly recipe videos are made possible in part by the generous patronage of our supporting members. We create this show to share all of the delicious plant-based recipes we use in our own family kitchen with the hundreds of thousands of viewers just like you who tune in each month from all over the world. Our supporting memberships offer great perks like access to our ebooks and in-depth courses, including our 28-day Plant-Based Made Easy course, where we offer a step-by-step guide to making the switch to a fully plant-based diet. If you love our content, please join us on our mission to share this life-changing message with the world and become a supporting member today by following the link in the description. Okay, let's get back to the show. Just about there. Everything looks pretty uniform, but I'm going to go one more time. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So if you want to come in, you can see what the texture of that looks like. You know, it's kind of grainy still, and that will give it a really nice texture when you're chewing on that. Okay, let me move this guy over. So I just have a baking tray here that I've already lined with parchment paper, or you can use a Silpat paper, or even lightly oil your tray, because they will stick. I'm going to flip this guy over. Got a little bit of a curl in there. Okay, so the next part takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, because you're just going to roll them up into a ball with your hands and with a spoon and put them on there, and then we'll press them down. It does take a little bit of time, but we'll get there. Okay, before I go on to make the rest of these, I'm going to show you how I just press them down. You could leave them in balls like this, but it takes a long time for them to bake through, because traditionally these would be fried in oil, but we are going to bake them. So my oven is already preset at 350. So I'm just going to use my fingers just to kind of lightly press them down. You know, and if you want to reshape the outside edge a little bit, just to make them look a little nicer, to get them to stick together better again. So these make just little, like little falafel patties. And if your hand starts to stick, you can always just put a little bit of water on your fingers and then press them down again. Okay, I'm gonna finish these up and then we will get them into the oven. So you are gonna cook these on one side for 25 minutes and then we're gonna flip them. Okay, so finally done. There they are. This made, what is that, 3, 6 times 4, so 24, so 2 dozen falafels. Pretty decent sized little falafels. So into the oven they go. So look at this. These beautiful falafels are out. So I baked them for the 25 minutes, then I flipped them over and I cooked them for another 10 minutes. And I'm just gonna let them cool a little bit. So now we're gonna make my favorite sauce to dip these falafel in is just a really, really simple, easy, basic tahini sauce. So I'm just gonna add a couple tablespoons of tahini. The juice of a lemon, about a teaspoon of Bragg's liquid amino acids, or you could use, low sodium soy sauce or tamari sauce, and then you just stir it until it's really creamy. You might have to, be nice to have one of those little teeny miniature whisks, but I just don't have one. And that's it. So I'm gonna finish mixing this up and I'm gonna get a plate and I'll meet you at the table for a taste. Okay guys, time for the tasting. So these are completely cooled now. I've got my little tahini sauce here. So I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit on there. Oh gosh, my mouth is watering. I've been waiting to try these. Oh. Those are so, it's kind of nutty and then mixed with the tartness of this tahini sauce. And that, you can just play around with that a little bit, If it's too thick for you, add a little bit of water. If it's too much lemon, add a little bit more tahini. You just gotta play with it until it's just what you like. Food is an adventure, go for it. So be sure to give this a like, and I'll see you next time.